Dude! Did you hear they're totally making a Miss Marvel movie? That's gonna be radical! Oh man, my friend on AOL told me all about it after I dialed in on my modem. Can you believe this internet thing? It's totally crazy. I hope they make the movie really extreme. That'd be awesome, and give her lots of guns, and make sure she's not wearing any clothes, 'cause that's totally extreme. 90s. Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. It's finally here, the first Marvel movie of 2019 and Marvel's first female-led superhero movie, Captain Marvel. What I like, what I dislike, let's get into it. So since this is still early in the year, I can't do my Marvel hierarchy as I usually do because there's not enough stuff. I'm still watching The Punisher, so we'd only have The Runaways. So, since this is the first appearance of Captain Marvel on the big screen, let's check in with my friend the Comic Snob to get some information on the character of Captain Marvel. Snob? Oh, hello there. You want to know about Captain Marvel? I'll tell you all about it. Captain Marvel was first introduced in Whiz Comics #2 in February 1940 and was created by Bill Parker and C.C. No. Stop. The Marvel Captain Marvel. I'm sorry. So Captain Marvel, Marvel, was first introduced in Marvel Superheroes #12 in December 1967. It was created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan. No. You want to do the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, sorry. Oh, well, you must be more specific next time. Blah, 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 blah. So, the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel was first introduced in Marvel Superheroes #13 in March 1968 and was created by Roy Thomas and Gene Colan. She was first introduced as an assistant or secretary to Marvel, who was the Captain Marvel at the time, but she was a very competent and well-trained military fighter. A blast from a psychomagnetron device gave her superpowers, and she became Miss Marvel in Miss Marvel #1 in 1977. From there, she became a major part of the Marvel Universe, becoming one of the most recognizable and most popular non-mutant female superheroes in Marvel's history. Over the years, she took over many mantles. For a while, she's known as Binary, then Warbird, and then in 2012, as an attempt to reintroduce her for a new age, they changed out her costume to something a little more realistic and practical, and she took up the mantle of Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel #1. She has many superpowers, but most notably, super strength, super speed, super endurance, super stamina. She can absorb solar radiation and redirect it from her hands, and she also has the ability to fly. She's been attached to many teams, most notably the Avengers, A-Force, New Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and most famously, the X-Men. Because famously, Rogue from the X-Men got her superpower and super strength from Carol Danvers in the pages of Avengers Annual #10. And now you know just a little bit about Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Alright, thank you, Snob. So let's get into the review. So Captain Marvel is brought to us by director duo Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who directed It's Kind of a Funny Story, which is kind of a funny movie. Only kinda, though. So the plot is Carol Danvers, or Vers, is working with the Kree warrior heroes to help wipe out the menacing Skrull race. And during a mission, she finds herself stranded on Earth, or C-52 or 53, I think they call it. And it's up to her to find her way back and maybe run into some scrolls on the way, and also maybe find out a little bit about her mysterious past. Without too many spoilers, that's the plot of Captain Marvel. So let's talk about the characters. So of course, let's start with the titular Captain Marvel, played by Brie Larson. So before this movie, I went ahead and checked out Room because I realized I haven't seen anything with Brie Larson, and she is fantastic in Room. She is great. So I was super pumped to see what she does with Captain Marvel, and she's awesome. My general experience with Captain Marvel, at least the most recent incarnation, has been in the most recent Avengers run, and that's kind of where I've been kind of getting into her more. And she, at least from that characterization in that comic, gets it dead on. Carol is very much more above it all. And that's where any of her snark or cynicism comes from, is she's just very straight-laced and very by the book and very, these people. And I think she gets that down really well, which lends to some funny moments and a bit of a different character than what we've seen. Captain America is very by the book, but also has a lot of compassion and is, does the best he can and can do no wrong. She's just straight by the book, and it's very cool to kind of see something like that. A little bit different, a little bit more interesting. And I think she knocks it out of the park. She is very fun and engaging and an interesting character, so well done there. And we have a de-aged Samuel L. Jackson reprising his role as Nick Fury. I didn't mention before, but this movie takes place in the 90s, so they had to de-age Samuel L. Jackson to his 90s time. Now, a lot of people made the joke that Samuel L. Jackson doesn't really age, but yeah, he has. Come on. If you look at side by side, he's aged. But his de-aging looks fantastic. It's obviously a mix of makeup and CG, but it looks great, and they had to do it for the entirety of the movie, and it doesn't let up. It looks great the entire time, so it's well done. Which is interesting because what they did to Coulson is a bit, ooh boy. The de-aging on Greg Clark does not look as good. I don't know if it's the hair or what the deal was, but it's weird. But outside the de-aging, he is super fun in this. He's a lot less cynical. It's a very young Nick Fury. A little bit more interested in things and a bit more bright and vibrant. And he has a great camaraderie with Captain Marvel. I think it works out really well. It's a lot of fun. And this is, I think the most screen time Nick Fury has gotten. Maybe in Avengers, maybe some more, but I think this is the most where he's like a real main character in this. And it's great. He does a fantastic job. Yeah, I love this Nick Fury. It's really awesome. Then we have Ben Mendelsohn, Bendo, playing the leader of the devious Skrulls, Talos. He is fantastic. He steals the show almost in this. So my thinking, so the Skrulls are a race of aliens that can shapeshift into anything they see. So I assume they would have just had him out of makeup and in a different character for most of the movie. But no, they make him act through the makeup, and it's so good. He does such a great job. He is a Skrull for a lot of this, and it looks great, and he is awesome. He is menacing when he needs to be menacing. He's heartwarming when he needs to be heartwarming. He's sympathetic. He's apathetic. He is a great villain. He's definitely in the upper echelon of Marvel villains once again. And he is fantastic. There's some surprises with him. I really enjoyed what he did in this. And finally, we have Jude Law playing. So he he's very spoiler heavy, so I don't want to talk too much about him, just broad generalities. Jude Law is great, and he's great in this. I like what he does. I don't want to spoil too much there, but yeah, he's pretty great. Yeah, even his character name is kind of spoiler heavy if you know the comics, so I'll just say he is awesome in this. So what does Captain Marvel do well? Well, the first thing I really liked is all the ties to the greater MCU and all the little Easter eggs and nods. There's some really good stuff in this. Like I said, it takes place in the 90s, and there is a huge gap in the Marvel timeline between the ending of Agent Carter Season 2 and Iron Man. There's a 40-year gap of stuff that we really haven't seen. I mean, we got some nods and tips, you know. We got to see Ego meet Star-Lord's mom and Star-Lord get kidnapped. And we saw Ant-Man working, but they're only like quick little flashbacks. There's nothing solid in that era. We haven't seen an entire movie or show, anything take place in that era. So there's a lot of holes there and a lot of gaps they can fill and a lot of, you know, kind of interesting things they can do. And I think they knocked it out of the park. There's ties to all sorts of things. It's really awesome and it works well. I don't want to go into specifics to spoil anything, but one of the main ones, I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but I found it very fun and interesting, is when she finds herself on Earth, she contacts her team, and she's like, oh, well, I'm on C-52. And they're like, oh, okay. It wasn't like Earth. What's Earth? Which, to me, is a nod to the fact in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they mentioned the Krees have visited Earth many times. And, of course, you know, Star-Lord got kidnapped on Earth. So Earth is part of this cosmic world, even though we didn't know it at the time. And I think that's kind of cool. It wasn't the whole, what is Earth? What is this place? It was like, oh, that place. Okay. That was a fun little nod. Again, lots more other fun nods, and that was very cool. Another thing I liked was all the interactions between all the characters, especially Captain Marvel and Nick Fury. I think they had a great back and forth and a great dynamic with each other. It was really cool. I liked seeing that. It was a fun, like, buddy cop sort of movie going on, and that was really cool. The interaction between Captain Marvel and Talos was pretty awesome. Her and Jude Law had some great chemistry. Really, everyone worked very well together. It had some great camaraderie and some different friendships and different frenemies and things of that nature. And it all really worked well. And I liked the interaction between everyone. It was a lot of fun. The other thing I really enjoyed, and I'm really glad they did, is there's a lot of surprises that make this not just an origin movie. One, when we meet up with Captain Marvel, it's 6 years of her working with the Kree already. So it's not about her learning her powers and what does this do and da-da-da. It was, we're going ahead. And they threw in some extra surprises even for people that didn't know the comics that I didn't see coming. Lots of twists and turns, and it kept it very interesting. So it wasn't just a basic origin movie going against a bad guy and is just, plain Jane. No, this was very interesting and had many surprises, and I like that a lot. But no movie is perfect. Where did Captain Marvel fall short? One of the main things I didn't like, and it's at the very beginning of the movie, so it kind of sets a bad tone for the movie, but there is some incredibly clunky exposition. I mean, they use my hated phrase of, as you know. Like, if they know, you don't have to tell them. And so it was very clunky, and I think they could have written that a lot better. Some bad lines of kind of showing us how the Kree work, but not really showing us, just sort of telling us and explaining in a quick dialogue dump. And, I think you could have done that a lot better. It's a bit clunky. All the exposition was very clunky in this, and, a little cringy at times, to be honest. The other problem I had is, especially when she specifically landed in the blockbuster for a little bit, it was a little too 90s. Like, it's almost like walking around, I got my slap bracelet and my Tamagotchi, and I got my LA Gears shoes. 90s, guys. Remember the 90s? I remember the 90s. Got really heavy with that. I think it eventually balanced out and became okay. But for a while, I was like, oh my god, they're just beating you over the head with 90s, guys, 90s. Remember the 90s? There goes OJ because it's the 90s. Yeah, that got a little heavy-handed and a little, yeah. But like I said, it balances out eventually. But initially, it's like, good lord, too much 90s. And the final kind of nitpicky little problem I have, and I won't really explain it because it's spoiler heavy, but the ending where it ended at leaves a lot of questions for the greater Marvel universe that I don't think they're going to answer because where Avengers Endgame is going. I could be wrong. I don't know, but it does seem off, let's say. I'm going to get into that in the spoiler section a little bit more, but yeah. Speaking of which, spoiler section! So throwing up my spoiler sign here, jump to this time code here if you want to skip spoilers, because it's spoiler time. So yeah, the ties to the MCU are numerous and awesome and amazing. So different from her comic origin, she's actually powered by radiation from the Tesseract, which I thought that was a cool, fun nod to tie her into another Infinity Gem, which might add an interesting, more dynamic in Endgame when she goes up against Thanos. In the movie, an engine that had a core that was the Tesseract blew up, and that radiation gave her powers. It's a little different from the Magnetron that gave her the powers initially, but I think it's a good origin to tie it in with this greater universe. Like, they're able to plan out things a bit more and show, like, no, she's tied to the Tesseract, and that was cool. Although using the Tesseract yet again was a bit of a because, like, this is the fourth if you count Infinity War, with the Tesseract in it. It wasn't a huge thing, it was more near the end, but I don't know. I liked it a lot, but it also, I can kind of see a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, things that tied into later movies coming up, coming up in the timeline were really cool. They didn't hit you over the head with Stark stuff, which is good, because I was expecting them to all be flying Stark jets and Stark weapons, but no, they went with Pegasus, which is cool and a nice little comic nod, so I like that. So I alluded to before with the ending is the pager debacle. So, you know, obviously she gives Nick Fury this pager to call her if he needs help. And my thought was that she was in some sort of suspended animation because she knew Thanos was coming and she was going to tell him not to call unless Thanos comes. But no, she's off just helping the Kree find a family or find a place to live. So that tells me that Fury would have used that pager in the first Avengers movie. Like, aliens are coming from the sky to invade. We should probably call Captain Marvel. And, like, I know they took a big swing by having this pager and tying it to older things because that's going to add a lot of questions. And I think they could have handled that a little bit better because it does seem to me that Fury would have used the pager for the first Avengers movie. So, I don't know. It's very nitpicky. I know that a lot, but I'm just going to throw that out there. Finally, of course, there's two stingers. End of the movie stingers. Marvel always has one that ties into the other movies, and then a funny one. So the one that ties into the other movies, not surprising at all. She answers the page and teams up with the Avengers in an Endgame. All right. Although it would be interesting if you show someone who's never seen any of these movies, the movies in chronological order, because, like, they would get that ending and be like, what? Who are these people? And it would take, like, a long time to answer that. I think that'd be kind of fun. And then the funny ending, I don't want to really say what it is, but I saw it coming as well. I was even to my friend like, this is what's going to happen. Like, I never saw it. I was just like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. That's fine, I guess. Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. In the end, Captain Marvel was a lot of fun. It was a great addition to the Marvel Universe. Was it perfect? No. Did it blow me away? A little bit. But it was a lot of fun. I'd say it's an upper tier echelon, kind of mid to top tier Marvel movie. So, like, around Ant-Man or maybe Doctor Strange. Not the greatest, blow me away, but not Iron Man 3 either. Great mid-tier, kind of upper mid-tier Marvel movie, if that makes any sense. I had a lot of fun with it and I enjoyed it. So I'm going to say my rating for it is see it in theaters. It is worth checking out. A great addition to the Marvel Universe, and I had a lot of fun with it. Did you see Captain Marvel? Let me know what you thought in those comments below. Are you excited to see her team up with the Avengers? Because I know I am. Make sure you hit that thumbs up for more female superhero movies, because I really want to see my Stargirl movie. That would be awesome. And share this video with anyone that decided that they hated this movie because white guys aren't allowed to see it for whatever reason. That's a thing. Look it up. It's stupid. But I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Until next time, hold on to your hold slots.